24th, 2023. Happy birthday, Sister Alexa Barton. I'll call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call, please.
Councilmember Abdelgawad.
Here.
Councilmember Baker.
Present.
Councilmember Barber.
Present.
Councilmember Burke, absent. Councilmember Ingert.
Present.
Councilmember Forster, absent. Councilmember Holman, absent. Councilmember Townsend.
Present.
Mayor Turnbow.
Present. We do have a quorum. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on our agenda this evening is under presentations is my State of the City. So if you'd all relax, sit back, and enjoy, hopefully, I'd like to provide you with my State of the City address this evening. So good evening, everyone, and welcome. First, I want to talk to or thank the members of the Raymore City Council, the staff, and the city. Most importantly, the residents of this great community for allowing me to be present before you tonight. The city charter directs me to present to the council information on the affairs of the city and any recommendations I have for the improvement of the city and its affairs each year. I am honored to be before you this evening, more than a year into my third term as your mayor, to share with you the state of our city, which remains not only strong but extremely resilient. Over the last year, we welcomed many new businesses to Raymore, with the addition of Johnny's Tavern, Whataburger, Elite Fence and Deck, Radiant Selfie Studio, Stellar Gifts and Goods, Blush Boot Camp, The Painted Posy, and more, including several new brick and mortar and home-based businesses. More businesses are on their way in, with Abelardo's Mexican Fresh planning to open at the end of September. That's going into the old Schlotzsky's. And HTO, one of the fastest growing companies in the Southwest, choosing Raymore for one of its store locations as it expands northward from Texas. The Quilted Cow, a wildly successful quilt shop based in Branson West, is franchising and has chosen Raymore for its first additional location. And I'm happy to report that new and exciting businesses continue to consider us in choosing Raymore and investing in our community. We've brought a variety of new housing to Raymore with many new single-family homes, beautiful townhome options, and maintenance-provided villas, and in advanced progress is The Depot, a Class A multifamily community. At the beginning of 2023, and thanks to the tenacity of city staff, we received a grant for more than $4 million from the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission under the Governor's Transportation Cost Share Program. The grant is a 50% matching grant that will be used for the installation of a traffic signal at the North Cass Parkway and Dean Avenue intersection, a future extension of Dean Avenue to 195th Street, and it will also include intersection improvements to improve safety at the 195th and I-49 intersections. These improvements will support the addition of Newly, Southern Glazers Fine Wine and Spirits, and other businesses at the Raymore Commerce Center that Van Trust is not yet ready to announce. But Newly, a women's subscription clothing rental service, plans to open before the end of the year and will create 750 jobs in Raymore over the next 5 years. Southern Glazers, the largest fine wine and spirits distributor in the United States, continues to work toward full operations at the Raymore Commerce Center. And then a third business is now being secured for building number 2 in the Commerce Center. These additional jobs in Raymore will contribute to a more vibrant and then prosperous community. And over the last year, Raymore has attained many other tremendous accomplishments. We continue to forge ahead with planning efforts for the improvement of Ward Road as we inch closer to obtaining the necessary easements. In addition, we have been in talks with the Cass County Commission to partner on Prairie Lane milling and overlay for the section between 58 Highway and County Line Road. This will be very important for travelers as a detour when Ward Road construction begins. And once those improvements are made, we can then turn to Kurzweil for similar TLC. And of course, we continue to urge MoDOT in their planning efforts for the improvement and widening of I-49 from County Line to North Cass Parkway. Last year, we also made history by becoming the first city in the entire nation to offer 3 fully accessible play spaces with the opening of the Hawks Nest Inclusive Playground at Hawk Ridge Park. Let me say that again. We are the first city in the United States to accomplish this, and that's worth celebrating. Due to the hard work of a dedicated staff, we also picked up a national award last year from the American Public Works Association for TB Hanna Station's universal design. We are committed to improving the quality of life for our residents and creating a variety of opportunities for people of all abilities. The voter-approved Hawk Ridge Park West improvements brought improved parking and a new trail to the west side of the park, with more improvements in the works for the east side of this national award-winning park. At Recreation Park on the south side of town, new playground equipment is currently being installed to replace the aging play area for younger children, and the voter-approved Raymore Activity Center expansion is in progress. This expansion will allow us to host even more year-round programs and activities for our youth and people of all ages when the work is complete next summer. Last fall, more than 150 acres of future parkland were dedicated as part of the Good Ranch Master Development on the city's southwest side. Through our Public Works Department in the last year, they were able to provide 5 centerline miles of street that were milled and overlaid. More than 17,000 feet of curb were replaced. Our Public Works street crews used 225 tons of asphalt to make street repairs and patch potholes. And our Public Works professionals continue to work tirelessly to keep our streets, curbs, sidewalks, and drinking water safe, as well as maintain our stormwater and sewer systems along with other public infrastructure, so we can continue to enjoy an exceptional quality of life here in Raymore. Upon the retirement of Chief Jan Zimmerman, a new police chief was chosen. Chief Jim Wilson, a 29-year veteran of the force, was sworn in at the end of August. The department also had promotions from within, with 1 promotion to captain, 1 to lieutenant, and 1 to sergeant. Raymore Police also invested in 3 cadets by sending them to the police academy and hired another post-certified police officer and 3 new dispatchers. Nearly 1/3 of our city staff have been employed with the city for more than a decade, with 18 of those employees serving our city from 20 years all the way up to 44 years. That's a lot of dedication toward providing high-quality services and amenities to our residents. It's also a lot of loyalty and a big responsibility to serve the interest of all of our community members. Our 108 full-time employees have truly invested a lot of heart and hard work into this organization. They are committed to serving you every day, whether it's being a first responder at a time of need, fixing a water main break through the night, keeping our parks beautiful, and coordinating community events, or any of the many other tasks performed behind the scenes to keep things running smoothly and to make this a great place to live, to raise your family, and or retire. With all that has been accomplished by our team, I have to say that I'm disappointed that the use tax measure was not approved last August. Votes were close, and I appreciate all who made it to the polls. However, it does sting a little bit that we weren't able to get the needed support to grow our investment in our public services and get our people the much needed support to help with the hard work they perform that keeps things running smoothly and safely. Funds received from a use tax would have gone toward public safety and services by adding additional positions in the police department, public works, and parks, all of which are presently staffed well or understaffed, well below industry standards. Our staff in those departments have been doing more with less for many years. While we continue to invest more into public infrastructure maintenance than ever before, I urge everyone to carefully consider the use tax and what it would bring to our community. We could have an improved presence of police within our community. We could also provide more infrastructure services and do it faster and more efficiently with additional personnel in public works. Additional personnel would ensure our parks remain pristine, viable, and relevant to our residents, along with many more incredible opportunities if we had the necessary resources. And I haven't even addressed what a use tax would do to put our brick and mortar stores on parity with their online rivals who avoid collecting local taxes. The city monitors sales tax collection for the community improvement districts, or our CIDs, within Raymore. A few of those CIDs include both sales and use taxes, and the state and county already collect an online use tax. Recently, though, a sale that occurred for one of our new warehouses was inadvertently filed as if it were within the boundaries of one of these districts that collects use tax. Had we been able to collect a local use tax, $550,000 from that sale would have come to the city. The county got their share, and the state got their share of use tax from that large sale, but we failed to take advantage of that opportunity. Those dollars would have really impacted what happens here in Raymore, where it really matters. It only makes sense that we think about putting this issue back before the voters, so I urge you to start considering now what benefits a use tax will allow our community to be better prepared for as the demand for services expands. With that being said, I cannot emphasize enough how honored I am to be here at a time when the people of Raymore and our neighbors have been united in a way I've never witnessed before. We are all united in the common interest of our community, of our future, and of our children's future. There are challenges that we must overcome, but I know that we will overcome them because we are strong and driven. Our city's successes will be determined by those who are unified in their steadfast resolve to work together to safeguard our community from those who are out to hurt it. We are fighting this landfill threat with all that we have. We do it because it's the right thing to do. We do it because we've worked hard to make Raymore a place to work and play, and not only just to live, but to live out our American dream and to love where we live. It's vital to our quality of life to live where we know our health, our safety, our investments, and our livelihoods are protected and respected. We are working on multiple avenues to reach a permanent solution to kill the proposed landfill that threatens our way of life. While we weren't victorious at the last legislative session, I'm proud of the progress we made earlier this year. We were not strangers at the state capitol, that's for sure. Everyone there knew what we were resolved to accomplish. We got somewhat of a late start last session, but we are going back to Jefferson City in the next session to continue our pursuit of an amendment to the current state statute. We will continue to engage and encourage others to stay engaged with our elected state officials to help them understand how critical the need is for an expanded buffer zone between residential communities and landfill developments that would negatively impact our home values, our environment, and most importantly, our health and well-being for generations. The work isn't done, and I assure you the work won't stop until the threat of a landfill on our city's border no longer exists. The people of Raymore were generous with their time and efforts in answering every call to action we put out earlier this year, and it is much appreciated. It's appreciated very much. You made a positive difference. We're going to be calling you to action again. We need even more residents and citizens of the surrounding communities to fight with us in contacting state legislators when we ask you to, and we'll also ask you to show up at the state capitol again when it's time to testify and show our strength in numbers. We all face difficulty and adversity, but after all, the strongest steel is forged in fire. Unfortunately, in this case, a dumpster fire, right? Our work today will create a better Raymore for tomorrow. I can't imagine anyone I'd rather fight with and fight for than the folks in this room and the citizens of Raymore. I believe in this. I believe that what is right has to win over what is wrong. And make no mistake, we will prevail. Though we are facing challenges we never imagined we'd have to face, the state of our city stays strong and resilient. Every day I'm inspired by this council, the city staff, and you, the citizens of Raymore. Your dedication to this community is awesome. Raymore, God bless you and thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, we have no personal appearances this evening, so I'll move on to staff reports. Mr. Feuerborn.
Thank you, sir. The Public Works report is in your packet. Mr. Crass remains absent. Please keep him in your thoughts. He is suffering from an illness that may keep him away from us for quite some time. I would now ask Mr. Mustine to make a report for Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, members of the council, just a couple items in addition or that is included in my staff report. Mayor, you hit on a couple of them. We've got a couple projects going on, two large projects at Recreation Park with the playground being replaced. If you drive down there now, you'll see that the equipment is in place. They set forms today, and then it started raining on them, so I don't know if they ended up pouring this afternoon or not, but project's going very well. We are also under construction on the rack, so you should see mobilization of large equipment and stuff starting hopefully as early as this week, depending on weather and things of that nature. And finally, we're looking forward to the mini mud run coming up on August 18th. And we'll have a redesigned course a little bit with our new Ridge mountain bike trails out there, so should mix it up a little bit for those that are returning mudders. So happy to answer any questions, and that concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Nathan. Any questions of Mr. Mustine? Thank you, sir. Mr. Feuerborn, you have another?
Thank you, Mr. Mustine. I would ask Ms. Harmer to make a communications report.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I wanted to give an update. Unfortunately, the Arts Commission's first concert at the amphitheater was a couple Fridays ago when those storms rolled through. So we are rescheduling that to September with the Deja Blue 60s cover band. But we will have Friday, August.
What's the anticipated date?
Maybe the 8th, maybe the 22nd.
Oh, okay.
We're still working that out. We have to make it work
Sorry.
with the band, but we'll announce it as soon as I'm assuming the next week we'll know for sure. Okay. And then August 11th, Friday, August 11th is our next concert, assuming we have decent weather, and that is the BMW band, which is jazz, which Councilman Burke isn't here. He was a big fan when they played a couple years ago at Summer Scene. So. Obviously, all the concerts are free. Bring your friends, bring a blanket, bring your own refreshments, plenty of water. I'm sure it will be hot, but it's always a good time at the amphitheater, and I'm ready to get back out there. It's been a long time. The Hawks Nest grand opening article, our article was published in Missouri Parks and Recreation summer issue of the official publication of MPRA. And even though I'm upset that we didn't make the cover, because generally we make the cover when they publish an article about Raymore. But there is an error on the front that points people to page 30 for whatever this is, and that's actually our article. So people are getting there one way or another. All right. And then working on some stormwater, water quality, educational materials with our stormwater quality specialist, Lori Crandall, that are for the youth in the area. So we're excited that we'll be able to start sharing that information either this fall or early next year, just to get children excited about only rain down the drain and taking care of litter and all of the fun stuff that we should be teaching our children young. So that's all that I have for you this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Harmer, anybody have any questions for Ms. Harmer? Yes, Mrs. Delgado.
Thank you, sir. Not a question, just a shout out. I saw that article in Nathan's part of the report. Fantastic work for both of you and Lots of teamwork. Nice job.
Thank you. Mr. Furborn.
Thank you, Ms. Harmer. Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Gress to make a report on the comprehensive plan.
Thank you, sir. Mayor and Council, it's been a few meetings since I've provided an update on the status of the comprehensive plan, but as you recall, at your June 26 meeting, you did approve a contract for professional services for staff to take it to the next step in the process. So I wanted to recap a little bit what's been done, what the next steps are, and what the council can expect later on this year. So for the last year and a half or more, staff's been working on reviewing the notes from all of the community conversations and kind of benchmarking progress on the current strategic plan and kind of synthesizing some of the recommendations that were given to us at the community conversation to put all that together to basically compile a draft of what our vision for the plan is. So that has been completed. We held a kickoff meeting with the consultant 2 weeks ago to basically pass on everything that staff has completed to date and kind of review the progress of this project moving forward until its hopeful final adoption. The consultant indicated it would take them a few months to review what staff has presented to them. They indicated that this is the first contract that they've accepted where, specific to a comprehensive plan, where they're receiving more information than they're putting together themselves. So they indicated it would take them a little bit to review what staff had done and make sure that their recommendations and updates reflect the direction of that plan. So we expect we'll have monthly meetings over the next 2 months with them as they review what's been done and provide us with a set of recommendations to add to the plan to present a formal draft to all the boards and commissions in the council. Once we receive that, we will start with the Park Board, Planning and Zoning Commission, and end up at the City Council. The goal there is to get feedback on the draft from both of those boards and commissions and present those recommendations to the City Council for more in-depth consideration, and to also collect feedback from the council relative to the plan as well. Following those meetings, however many that will take, whether it's work sessions or regular meetings with the council, the intent would be to pass those recommendations back to the consultant to be incorporated into a final draft. And then following the completion of that, we will bring it back through the process with each of the boards and commissions to formally adopt, or it will make its way finally to the City Council for, again, the hopeful adoption of that plan. So really looking forward to working with Olson and getting some of their technical support to take this project to the finish line, and we'll look forward to any feedback from the council and boards and commissions. That would conclude my staff report.
Thank you, David. Anybody have any questions, Mr. Gress? Okay, thank you, sir. And Mr. Furborn,
Thank
anything
you,
else?
Mr. Gress. I would ask Ms. Hill to make a report for the City Clerk's office.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. During the 2021 legislative session, Missouri state statutes were amended to repeal the ability for political subdivisions to opt out of the Show Me Green and Back to School sales tax holidays, effective January 1, 2023. As such, there will be no formal consideration to participate in these events. The 2023 Back to School sales tax holiday is August 4 through 6, and information on this holiday can be found on the Missouri Department of Revenue website. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Hill? All right, Mr. Furborn?
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Just a reminder to the mayor and council, next Monday night is the 5th Monday. You have the night off. And just to dovetail on one of the items from the State of the City, tomorrow we will be celebrating a somber anniversary. It will be exactly 1 year since the mayor and I learned about the threat of a landfill on our northern border. The mayor and I were discussing that last week, and we have jointly renewed our energy on the battle that we are currently in. And we promise the citizens of Raymore that everything that can be done is being done to eliminate that threat. That concludes staff report, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of Mr. Furborn? All right. We'll now move on to committee reports. There are none, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have 3 items under the consent agenda this evening. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of that.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Belgawad.
I move that we approve the consent agenda, including item A, City Council meeting minutes for July 10th, 2023, item B, appointments to the License Tax Review Committee, and item C, Hawks Nest Playground acceptance and final payment.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir. So there's a second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously, 5 yes, 3 absent. We'll now move on to unfinished business. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3819 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3819 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, vacating portions of the side and rear yard utility easements located on Lot 412 in the Westbrook at Creekmore 15th Plat for the purposes of replatting Lot 412, Westbrook 15th Plat, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3819, easement vacation for Lot 412, Westbrook 15th final plat.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3819. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3820 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3820 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, vacating an existing 25-foot rear yard utility easement located on Lot 415 in the Westbrook at Creekmore 15th Plat for the purposes of replatting Lot 415, Westbrook 15th Plat, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3820, easement vacation per Lot 415, Westbrook 15th final plat.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3820. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3828 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3828 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Gunter Construction Company for the North Cass Signal and Intersection Improvements Project, City Project Number 23-389-201, in the amount of $793,225, and authorizing the city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you, ma'am. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3828, award of contract for the North Cass Signal and Intersection Improvements.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3828. Is there any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3829 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3829 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with SAC Construction LLC for the Hunters Glen Storm Repair Project, City Project Number 23-429-201, in the amount of $222,445, and authorizing the city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you, ma'am. If there's no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3829, award of contract for Hunters Glen Storm Repair.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3829. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3830 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3830 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Calvert's Paving Incorporated for the Salt Dome Pad Replacement Project, City Project Number 23-425-201, in the amount of $64,173, and authorizing the city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you, ma'am. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3830, award of contract for the Salt Dome Pad Replacement.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3830. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3832 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3832 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Missouri Capital Solutions LLC in the total amount of $99,428.52 for political consulting services.
What was the amount again?
$99,428.52.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3832, award of contract to Missouri Capital Solutions.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3832. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. And last item under old business, could I please have the second reading of Bill 3802 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3802 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, amending the zoning map from R3AP, Multiple Family Residential Plan District, to PUD, Planned Unit Development District, and approving the preliminary development plan for the Timber Trails Mixed-Use Development, a 22.31-acre tract of land located north of Johnston Drive and west of Dean Avenue in Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you, ma'am. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3802, Timber Trails Mixed-Use PUD rezoning and preliminary plan.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3802. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. I will now move on to new business. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3835 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3835 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, vacating portions of the rear yard utility easement located on Lot 416 in the Westbrook at Creekmore 15th Plat, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a staff report? Oh, I'll open a public hearing. This requires a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing at this time and ask for a staff report.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask Mr. Gress to make a staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you, sir. Mayor and council, the request before you this evening, similar to previous requests, on behalf of Chris Leroy, the owner of the property at 1111 Hillswick Lane in the Westbrook Creekmore subdivision, looking to build a pool in the back of their yard, similar to previous requests, and therefore needing to vacate the existing 25-foot rear yard on that property. The requested vacation would allow for 7.5 feet to remain, which is the standard easement dimension for most typical residential subdivisions. Staff did contact all the utility providers, and no utilities were existing in the easement. We'll provide within your packet a copy of the plot plan and pictures of the property. Since it is a public hearing, I wanted to enter into the record the advertisement in the June 28th edition of the North Cass Herald, the notice of publication, the Unified Development Code, the application, the growth management plan, the staff report, and the plot plan submitted by the applicant. If approved by the council, city staff would record this vacation with the county and work with the applicant on a pool permit to be constructed on their property. That will conclude my staff report, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of Mr. Gress? Yes, Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just out of curiosity, I think the property that's to the right in the photo is the one that we did the similar easement approval to do a similar pool that's under construction?
That is correct. We've received a lot of these requests recently, as the council knows. The Creekmore subdivision is actually one of the only ones that plats 25-foot rear yard easements, and we've since worked with them to not include those on plats moving forward. And we're working on a new process to get these approved a little more thoroughly, or a better process to get these through and reviewed by city staff and in the city.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure. Anyone else have any questions of Mr. Gress? No further questions. There is a public hearing that's open at this time. Anyone wish to speak to the council regarding this issue, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. Seeing no one come forward, I'll close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3835, easement vacation for 1111 Hillswick Lane.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3835. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3833 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3833 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, establishing a procedure to disclose potential conflicts of interest and substantial interests for certain officials and candidates for elective offices.
Is there a staff report?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Ms. Hill to make a staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you, sir. Missouri statutes require political subdivisions with operating budgets more than $1 million to adopt an ordinance at an open meeting, making public its method of disclosing potential conflicts of interest. The only officials required to file a financial disclosure statement the following year are the Chief Administrative Officer, the Chief Purchasing Officer, and those employees and elected officials who have had a transaction of more than $500 with the political subdivision. Bill 3833 establishes the City of Raymore's public procedures for disclosing potential conflicts of interest and personal financial disclosure as provided for in Revised Statutes of Missouri, Section 105.483 and 105.485. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I thought we had done this by resolution previously. We haven't? It's always been by ordinance?
MEC calls for it to be by ordinance, sir.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? If there are no further questions on this item, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of it.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Delgado.
I move that we approve Bill 3833, the financial disclosure ordinance.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3833. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3836 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3836 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into a non-residential contributor sewer service contract with Urban SR LLC, DBA Newly, pursuant to Section 710.350 of the Raymore City Code.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a staff report?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask Economic Development Director Jordan Lee to make her first staff report to the council on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Fearborn. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you are aware, Newly is currently constructing their new distribution center in Building 3 of the Raymore Commerce Center. They are equipping the building with a large number of industrial washing machines, dryers, and steamers that are required to launder clothing for resale and rental. They will be heavy water users. However, there will be a significant loss factor projected due to evaporation of wastewater from the industrial equipment. Traditionally, the city sewer bills are based on water consumption. The standard bill practice would create disproportionate sewer service charges compared to the actual flow of wastewater into the systems maintained by the city. Newly is requesting that their sewer service bill is based on the amount of wastewater entering the city's system. City code allows for a sewer service contract to allow this method with approval from City Council. The proposed agreement allows the city to charge Newly for sewer service based on actual metered wastewater flow into the system. Newly is responsible for the installation and maintenance of the sewer meter. When Newly first approached the city when Newly first approached the city, a rebate was discussed to offset the cost of doing business in the city within Water District 10. Included in the agreement is a 5-year reimbursement to Newly equal to the amount of 5% for all billed water and sewer services as means of helping offset the costs associated with equipping the building with this service. Phil Gibbs with Continental Consulting Engineers is here on behalf of the applicant and is here to answer any questions as well as city staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Would you care to address the council at this time, sir?
Yes, Phil Gibbs with Continental Consulting Engineers. We're at 9000 State Line Road, Leawood, Kansas. And I'm a civil engineer, lucky to be working on this project for Newly. And just wanted to thank you for the work that staff's put in this agreement. And it's simply what Jordan explained. It's accurately describing, or we're going to meter with some optical devices that are about $20,000 of equipment that Newly will be paying for. To correctly indicate how much flow goes downstream that thus goes into the Little Blue River Sewer District that you guys pay the fee to. So it's just to accurately describe what is being put out of the building, and I think that's a fair way to go.
Okay.
So,
Well, thank you. Any
very good.
questions of our speaker? Thank you. So I do have a question. So the metering system itself, you said, is an optical
It is.
type metering system. Is it similar to what Little Blue Valley's putting in their expansion project? Are you even familiar with what they're?
Well, I will tell you, Mike Crest turned me on to the vendor that the city uses.
Okay.
And so that is Core and Main. And so it's an optical device that meters the flow, and then it puts it into the software that the city is very familiar with for all of their other water meters and sewer meters. So it's going to be digitally be able to be read, and works with your system, and then thus the billing that is created for the client as well.
Right. Sorry for the technical questions. I actually sit on the trustees board for the Little Blue
Wonderful.
Valley Sewer District. So another question. So the monitoring of that, does it take into account any infiltration, or is it far enough or close enough to the building that it's metered directly from the building so that there's not an infiltration issue?
Correct. It is
between the meter and the building?
Yes, it's the first manhole outside of the building.
Okay.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So there's still a potential for infiltration, but I would assume that it's very limited.
The meter is actually on the private line that's
Okay.
being installed brand new, so it doesn't even enter
Okay,
into our
good.
system.
I just wanted, because we do get charged for the infiltration flow that does occur, because once it gets to Little Blue, that's what we're charged for. We try not to pass that on to our customers, but every once in a while, it does get kind of expensive, especially with these horrendous rain events that we're getting these days
Absolutely.
where it comes down. I was just curious. Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the explanation on that. Anybody else have any questions? If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Bilgwad.
I move that we approve Bill 3836, the non-residential contributor sewer service contract with Newly.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3836. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3834 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3834 by title only, an ordinance approving a redevelopment plan for a commercial development project and a development and performance agreement between the City of Raymore, Missouri and Timber Trails Land Partners, LLC for the purpose of providing funds to pay for the cost of improving a commercial development project in the city and authorizing certain agreements and other actions by the city.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a staff report?
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff is going to ask the council to indulge us in the developer. Short form is the developer is going to be asking for a continuance, but it's a little bit of a complicated issue. So at this point in time, I'm going to call on Mr. Gress to make a staff report.
Okay.
If okay with Mr. Fearborn, I would call on Ms. Lee to make the staff report for this request.
Okay. Just as long as she doesn't pass it to me, because I couldn't do it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Timber Trails Land Partner, on behalf of Griffin Riley Property Group, is pursuing a multifamily residential apartment complex, retail center, and premium hotel located west of Dean Avenue, south of Walmart. The developer has requested Chapter 100 bonds for the multifamily residential and property tax abatement for the retail center to assist in financing the project. Here in attendance tonight, in addition to city representatives, is Sid Douglas with Gilmore and Bell, the city's economic development legal counsel. He will be making a presentation this evening on behalf of the city relative to this request, and the developer is here to make comments on the project as well. Afterwards, taxing jurisdictions can provide comment if they please. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Any questions of Jordan before she walks away? If not, we'll turn it over to Mr. Douglas. Did you have anything you wanted to present at this time? Are we not moving into that
We
portion?
won't be doing that, sir.
Okay.
At this point in time, I'm going to ask the developer to come forward
Okay.
to request a continuance. It is Mr. Douglas's recommendation that after this request, because the taxing jurisdictions involved, specifically the school district and the fire district, have been scheduled to be invited tonight if they so wish to come, that you open that up, even though they are
Sure.
not here, that you open
the
that
taxing
up.
entities.
And then I can explain where they're at on that. So we get that part taken care of.
Mr. Lovelace, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm wonderful. Mr. Mayor, members of council, I appreciate you guys having us as always. We're working hard with staff. Staff's been a big help on this project as always. We would respectfully request a continuance to the next possible available date at staff's recommendation.
No, I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so at this time, do you want me to go ahead and open it up to the taxing entities?
Right.
If there are any taxing entities in the room that wish to address this particular issue, please step forward. I didn't see any in the room, but got to
At
ask.
this point in time, I could inform the council that the fire district does not have issues with the project, and I actually met with the superintendent of schools today at 2 p.m., and the school district would like the council to know that they have no problems with this.
Okay.
They obviously say we are neutral to it, but they have no comment for this project at this time.
Thank you, sir.
The superintendent and I had a very good conversation.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for staff or anyone else that presented? If not,
Staff would request a motion to continue to the certain date of August 14th, sir.
Very
I believe
well.
that's the second Tuesday.
All right. I had asked for that motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Dugawad.
I move that we continue Bill 3834 and the public hearing.
No public, it's not a public hearing item.
Okay, very good. So continue this bill to our August 14th meeting.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion been made and seconded to continue Bill 3834 for consideration to the August 14th date. Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. That concludes the official portion of the business. We'll now move on to public comments. If anyone from the public would like to address the council at this time, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. Seeing no one come forward, we'll move on to mayor council communication. And Mr. Ingert, I'll start with you tonight, sir.
I'd like to talk to Chief Wilson real quick. Has it really been a year already? Time flies when we're having fun. Yes, it does. And the other thing, it was kind of interesting tonight to watch and see all the different departments within the city of Raymore, how they actively get together and present all their information tonight. And that, I think, speaks well for the city and the administration on how well they all function as a team.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Mr. Dugawad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start off with kudos to you. Your State of the City address was very, very thorough. Lots of like a path down memory lane for the last year.
Yeah.
Some great points about the way we're progressing, some great points about the incredibly hard work of city staff on a daily basis and what that kind of all accumulates into for the whole year. Some excellent points about the use tax and what we are missing out on because we haven't been able to pass that yet, but we'll keep trying. And then finally, fantastic words about the landfill and that fight that we continue and will continue fighting. So nice job on that. It was great to listen to that review of the year. Additionally, just a couple of things. Ms. Harmer, I was just wondering, you went through those dates for the concert in the park really quickly. I'm sure we can find those on the website somewhere. /arts. Okay, very good. Thank you. I'll be looking those up. Nice job to Ms. Lee on her first 2 staff reports for the council. And just once again, fantastic article in the Missouri Parks and Rec magazine. So kudos to our staff and communications departments. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Barber.
Well, I'll yield my time. Mr. Abdelgawad covered everything I was going to cover and did a great job. So thank you, Mr. Abdelgawad.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll echo the comments of my colleagues to my left and also add additional emphasis to your State of the City address as well, representation of the city. And with your approval, I'd like to kind of share this with the Kansas City elected colleagues to show that this is the community that you're impacting with the actions that you're taking, whether they are slow, this is the true impact that you're having in our community. So I would love to share this with your approval.
Absolutely.
With them on what they are impacting, and if they would jump on board and be an advocate like we are for their own residents. All things that were said this evening to staff, as well, our Parks and Rec, and everyone that's not in the room, that are out there making the mission, as I would say, for the community, and keeping us safe and keeping our community the viable and pristine community that it is. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Baker?
Again, I just wanted to echo my sentiments of my fellow council members with your presentation of the state of the city. Excellent job with that. Great job recapping what we've done, what we have to look forward to. The battle that we have with the landfill will be, I'm sure, done at 110% or more by staff and city council with that. But again, it's just the pride in the city that what we have going for us in Raymore and what we have forward to look forward to. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I really don't have anything to add to what my initial State of the City address was about, so we'll go ahead and conclude comments at this time. Is there any reason to go to executive session, sir?
No, sir.
All right. Well, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
Thank you, sir. Second.
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded for adjournment. All those in favor?